Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, back again with Doctor Who. Last time on Doctor Who, we had Journey to the Center of the TARDIS. So, the TARDIS got salvaged, which actually caused it to go into panic mode, and the Doctor lost Clara within the TARDIS, and he had to get the salvagers to help him get through the TARDIS to find her. And while that was happening, they were being chased by these zombie guys. Turns out they were actually them from the future after being burned by the Eye of Harmony. They went to the Eye of Harmony, by the way. They ended up in the center of the TARDIS, and they were able to fix everything, and everything was good, and they reset time. They fixed the time paradox, I guess by creating a time paradox, technically. And then everything was good, and even though Clara figured out the Doctor's name, then she forgot because of time paradox. This is where I say no spoilers, and we might as well get right into the next episode of Doctor Who. Yeah, let's go.
My husband.
Your late husband.
What?
There must be some mistake.
He just walked through the door.
My husband is quite well.
Oh, now he's late.
We're so very sorry for your loss.
Oh no.
Well,
Whoa.
that's put me right off me.
I read of your brother's death. Another victim of the Crimson Horror, I believe.
Oh, Madame Vestra.
It's a silly superstition, sir. The belief that the eye can retain an image of the last thing it sees.
I think, madam, that we'd better make plans to head north.
What? Oh no. The Doctor. Oh, great.
Will you be found wanting when the end of days is come? When judgment rains down upon us all? Or will you be preserved?
Judgment Day, the trumpet sound.
Or you could surrender.
And how will she locate the Doctor?
To find him, she needs only ignore all keep-out signs, go through every locked door, and run towards any form of danger that presents itself.
Business as usual, then.
Business as usual.
Yeah, just find him, basically.
Cause a distraction. What? Swoon. Have a funny turn. Fit the vapors.
Are you crackers?
Go on. Is it guinea in it for you?
Tuh.
Done.
Tuh. Yeah. Good work. Oh, it's a speaker. So the people think something's happening in here.
I think I have seen these symptoms before.
Uh-oh.
A long time ago.
Oh, aye, how long?
About 65 million years.
Interesting. So it's some sort of Silurian thing? Unless he's in there. No, that's not right.
Doctor!
Oh! Oh no!
What happened to you?
Oh dear. That's what happens to them. They get dunked.
You are all I have, monster.
Huh.
But all will be well.
Monster.
Perfect as we are, there will be room for us in the New Jerusalem.
What's the difference between him and... What's the difference between him and the others? That he survived? Whoa.
Miss me?
Doctor!
Jenny! Jenny.
Yeah, he healed himself. Ooh. Yeah, easy, buddy.
You have no idea how good that feels.
How long have you been here?
Days, weeks, dunno. Long story. I'll keep it short.
Alright, tell us. What happened here?
Okay, so
Ha!
That the eye of a dead person retains an image of the last thing it sees. Nonsense, of course, unless the chemical composition of the body has been massively corrupted.
Oh, interesting. So they do have an image. Whoa. Oh, no. And they got taken. Yeah, that one's still alive. Huh. Yeesh. So he stayed there. Ah! That was the last thing he saw before he died.
And Mrs. Gillyflower's been dipping her pilgrims in a dilute form to protect and preserve them. Process didn't work on me, maybe because I'm not human. I ended up on the reject pile.
Clara's dead. Isn't she?
It's complicated.
Yeah. He found another. Ah. There she is. Huh. Okay, so some are preserved properly. The others become crimsoned.
There can be no place for people such as you.
Oh,
Only
great.
perfection is good enough for myself and Mr. Sweet. The bright day is done, child, and you are for the dark.
Oh. Yeesh. Now, who is Mr. Sweet? Oh! Yeah, she's got it. Oh, time to kick some ass.
Have a new plan. Run!
Oh, wait. Whoa! Oh! Hey! They caught up.
We could lay my magic cluster buns.
Strax,
Or dig trenches and fill them with acid.
Strax, you're overexcited. Have you been eating this jelly sherbet fancies again?
No.
Go outside and wait for me until I call for you.
But madam,
Go!
Poor Strax.
And our greatest plague, the most virulent enemy, was the repulsive red leech.
Ooh, the repulsive red leech.
Red leech.
On balance, I think I prefer the crimson horror. What was it exactly?
A tiny parasite.
A chimney that doesn't blow smoke.
Tuh.
Clever clogs.
Listening?
Yeah, lots.
Yay. It's nice to have this full team.
Going to poison the air.
How?
Oh, okay. Is that a rocket?
Who is there?
Yeah, that's your monster.
It's you, my monster. A glass of Amontillado.
No, thanks. We've had a skinful already, as you might say.
Very funny.
Yes, I'm the doctor. You're nuts, and I'm going to stop you.
I'm
Yeah.
afraid, Mr. Symbiotic, you might say.
Ah! Oh, that's Mr. Sweet. Okay, so I was wrong. So it is a red leech.
Could wipe out all life on this planet.
Do you know what these are? The wrong hands.
Yeah. Uh-oh. It's gonna launch.
The child is of no consequence.
Is that why you experimented on her?
Experimented.
Is
Signs
that
are all
why she was
there.
blind?
Pattern of scarring. You used her as a guinea pig, didn't you?
Sometimes sacrifices must be made.
Uh.
You doesn't count for nothing! Nothing at all!
Oh! Yeah,
Hang on, I've got a sonic screwdriver.
Yeah?
and? Yeah.
Yeah. That worked.
Yeah, just
I'm afraid
hit it with a chair.
It isn't going anywhere.
You have always been so very useful.
Ah! Hostage.
She's cute.
Chairs only useful.
Tuh. Apparently we need to start carrying chairs with us. Uh-oh.
Now the whole world will taste your lethal kiss.
I don't think so, Mrs. Gillyflower.
Oh, we took that out.
Die, you freak.
He still has a gun. Strax.
Die.
Thrust out your weapon, human female.
Ooh. You got genders right. Oh, there she goes.
Ouch.
Whew. Screw her.
Forgive me.
No.
That's my girl.
Don't forgive her.
Take it back to the Jurassic era, maybe. Out of harm's way.
Oh.
On the other hand,
Yeah.
Maybe had enough of Victorian values for a bit.
you're the boss.
Am I?
No. No. Get it.
He's trying to jog any memories. Take her back to where he last found her.
I know, dear monster.
That girl, Clara. You haven't explained.
But he still doesn't quite understand.
I called to see if there had been any progress.
He'll faint again. Yep. Oh, they went home.
It's you, isn't it? It's from the 70s, but it's definitely you.
How did you find that?
And why would you be an alien? Chin.
That's
Time travel?
not her.
You're in Victorian London.
No, I was in Victorian Yorkshire.
Huh.
Or we'll have to tell Dad that our nanny's a time traveller.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. They're gonna rat her out. Man, are we gonna take the kids with us next time? That'd be interesting, actually. That would be interesting. Of course, we're getting up to the finale now. We're almost there, actually. And I'm curious if we're gonna have a 2-part finale. So, next episode is the penultimate episode. I don't know. Maybe we'll take the kids with us. Maybe. These kids need to go talk to Sarah Jane. Show might not be on, but Sarah Jane is. Sarah Jane's still alive. Even if the show doesn't continue. But that was interesting. How did they find those pictures? That would be my question. Oh well. Okay. Good episode. Good, interesting episode. I like that. Man, I like the team. I do like the team that we have with them. With the Doctor, Clara, Vastra, Jenny, and Strax. Like, the 5 of them are really good. And we actually, I like that we got a bit more of Jenny this time around, too. Honestly, for a little bit, I was like, we could honestly take her as a companion. So I did like that. Yeah, good little episode. It was interesting. Okay, so the first thing I wrote down was the Crimson Horror itself. Although I believe I spelled it wrong, actually. I didn't show the title right there, but yeah, I don't think there's supposed to be an H in Crimson, so whoopsies. But yeah, I wrote down the Crimson Horror. Interesting. What am I trying to say here? Mystery, I suppose, for this episode. I did like that. Anytime they go back to sort of this Victorian era, I like that there's always some sort of weird, like, Sherlock Holmes mystery they need to solve. Because honestly, yeah, it makes sense, you know, for the time period that they kind of do that. But I like that it is pretty much every time because, yeah, you know, technically there is always a mystery that they need to solve. But with this one, it did sort of feel like, no, this one was a bit more of, like, you know, there's always some sort of, like, thing. I don't want to really say, like, a MacGuffin, but there's always some sort of special thing when we go back to the Victorian times. Like, whether it's the snowman or the Cybermen back in the next Doctor. So I do like that we just keep getting these interesting mysteries to do. And yeah, the Crimson Horror was also pretty interesting. I wrote down Infiltration. That was interesting. Man, it took a while before we actually got to the Doctor. We were mostly relying on the Team Vastra, basically. Oh, excuse me. I have to sneeze, too. Oh. Oh, God. Woo! Alright, I'm good. Alrighty, sorry about that. So yeah, it was a while before we actually got the Doctor. You know, we were mostly following Team Vastra, and even, you know, for a decent portion of that, it was really only Jenny that we were following, which I do like. I like that we were following Jenny. You know, we get a bit more of her, which is good. Because she's never really had much focus. So I did like that, you know, getting her skills, basically. She's actually using her skills to infiltrate this place. So I did like that. And actually, for a while, I was kind of thinking, like, you know, what if this is a Dr. Light episode? Which, have we actually had a Dr. Light episode for a while? I don't think we did. I'm trying to think, like, with Series 5, I don't think we've been doing Dr. Light episodes. I'm trying to think. You guys can, you know, leave it down in the comments if there have been Dr. Light episodes, you know, episodes without much of the Doctor since Matt Smith took over, but I can't name any off the top of my head. So yeah, I was almost thinking like, oh, maybe this will be a Dr. Light episode, you know, which would have been interesting. And if you're going to do a Dr. Light episode, using Team Vastra is pretty clever, actually. You know, if we just had an episode of, you know, just one of their adventures, that could be really cool, actually. So yeah, I did like that. I liked Jenny going in and infiltrating. I wrote down the monster. So normally people will be preserved. Okay, so people are normally preserved, and when they're normally preserved, they don't, you know, go completely red. They don't go completely red, but, you know, they're just normal and they are preserved, and they are put into these sort of rooms, you know, in this glass tubing like Clara was. But so all the people that become red die. It kills them. But it was different for the Doctor, most likely because, you know, he's not human. It was made for humans. So he survived while still being red. And then Ada basically locked him up and saved him, which is interesting. And he became her monster, which I thought was nice. So yeah, that was definitely interesting. I like that. And I did like Ada, especially more towards the end, you know, when she's, you know, starting to realize this stuff about her mother and go against her. And then, you know, and I like at the end when she just beats the ever-loving shit out of that red leech. So I did like that. It was interesting, and it was also interesting because it does kind of play with you for a little bit. It's like, okay, I was kind of thinking like, okay, well, maybe the monster is the Doctor, and I was like, well, wait, why would he be a monster? You know, why wouldn't he be, you know, calling for help, and why would his arm be red? But sure enough, Jenny goes in and helps him, so that was interesting. I wrote down the vat. Ugh. The vat. Man, that is crazy that they are just dipped in this vat. Now, are they all dipped in the vat? are they all dipped in the vat, and then some people are rejected, like the doctor, and some people come out completely preserved, like Clara? I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure which. Like, I wasn't quite sure the whole thing about the preservation. It took me a while to figure out that it even was preservation. So I think it was that everyone gets dipped in, and rejected people become crimson and die, except for the doctor, and others are not rejected. They survive being dipped in the vat, and they are perfectly preserved, like Clara. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can kind of clear that up for me in the comments. I'm not quite sure about that, but yeah. But still, it was interesting, and especially because it's like, oh, they're preserved, and then they're kind of put in these, these giant, glass tubes, and kind of, pose like they're these like porcelain dolls, basically, So that was also interesting. I wrote down the Red Leech. Okay, so I will say, like, it was interesting. I like that, Vastra figured it out. It's like, oh, I haven't seen this for, 65 million years or whatever, which was pretty cool. And then saying it's like, this is a red leech, these parasites, basically, that used to... So they used to also control the Earth with the Silurians. And then they started, like, they started poisoning the water supply. So, that was interesting. We get a bit more lore about the Silurians. Excuse me. So that was interesting. Although, of course, when she says, like, oh, it's the Red Leech, It's the Red Leech. And then, but they kept asking the question of who is Mr. Sweet. I honestly thought Mr. Sweet was going to be the Great Intelligence. I did sort of think that, but that is not what they ended up going with. They just ended up going with... Because I thought it was like, okay, it's a red leech, but I thought they said it had help from something. So that's why it's still kind of stuck in my head, like, oh, maybe it is the Great Intelligence or just something. So that's why that kind of stuck in my head. And then it was revealed, like, oh, no, it is just one of the red leeches, that has, leached onto Mrs. Gillyflower. And my glasses are filthy, so I'm going to clean them. Of course, I can't see a bloomin' thing anymore now. I could still read my notes, though. Thankfully. Of course, now I'm focused on cleaning my glasses. So we'll just take a second while I clean my glasses. I need to really, like, clean these, like, with water. Because there's some crud over here. There's a bit of a gap here. Oh, God. There's a bit of a gap, like, between the rim and the actual glass itself, and that gets dirty sometimes. I need to, like, actually clean that out. Welcome to Alex Cleans His Glasses for 5 minutes when he's supposed to be talking about Doctor Who. Especially because he's actually slightly on a time crunch. This is the last video of the day, so I need to be finishing this up soon. But that's okay. The video probably won't be any shorter than it needs to be. So, man, I am just focused now. I am focused on cleaning these glasses. I know, y'all came here for a discussion, and I just stop in the middle and clean my glasses. Dog hair. Made that worse. Okay, so the rocket. Let's talk about that while I clean the rest of my glasses. I thought the rocket was interesting. I do kind of like that, because this is 1893, I believe they said. I do like sort of this idea of, technology before it's supposed to be there. I like that sort of concept in fiction. So I do like the idea of even in the 1890s, someone has a rocket, I like that sort of thing. It's sort of like the, what is it? A Trip to the Moon, where, it's an old George Méliès film. When is that from? It's early 1900s. It's a great short film. You need to go watch it if you haven't seen it. Just look it up on YouTube. You'll find it. Where it's like, it's all these, astronauts, basically, even though it's the early 1900s, and they get in a rocket and they fly to the moon. And it's the classic you've probably seen where, the moon has a face and they crash into the eye, And then they get out and they have wacky adventures on the moon. It's a really great short film. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Any George Méliès film is really great. I actually did a reaction to one a couple years back one Easter. I reacted to his short film about Joan of Arc. So yeah, just a little plug. But anyway, I like that sort of thing. I like here where it's like, we just have a rocket. She just thinks of a rocket, And it's like, well, we're not supposed to have rockets. It's the 1800s, But I like that. I guess it's almost sort of a steampunk version of a rocket. I just sort of like that style. So that was cool. And then Mr. Sweet, we talked about that. The fact that it was just a leech. It's gross. Now it makes me curious, like, did Mr. Sweet communicate all this to her? Like, I would have to assume it's intelligent because Vastra says, like, okay, well, it basically ruled the Earth with the Silurians, so I would have to assume on some level it's intelligent. Maybe even gave her the idea for the rocket. But yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, I wrote down the chair. I like I like how they brought up the chair. Like, the doctor's like, wait, I have a sonic screwdriver, and Clara's just like, well, I have a chair. Boom! And just destroys the machine with it. I thought that was funny. And then, I like to, he picks it up, he yanks it out of there, and is like, chairs are very useful. Bam! And it breaks the window. I thought that was funny. It's like, we could do all this sort of, sonic screwdriver stuff or science fiction ways of getting out of here and destroying the machine, or we could just throw a chair at it, basically. We could just hit it with a chair. I kind of wish they hit, what was her name? The old woman. I've forgotten her name now. I kind of wish they had hit her with a chair, too. That's the thing, is Ada just beats the ever-loving crap out of everything. Like, she started, thwacking her mother, and then, when Mr. Sweet was getting erased, she just beat it until it was dead. I thought that was funny. I did like that. And then the last thing I wrote down is secrets. So, the doctor didn't explain Clara to them because, to be fair, he doesn't have an explanation. It's like, look, like, the most he could say is, look, I met her once in the Dalek Asylum. Then I met her again here, and then I met her again in the modern day, in 2013. That's the most he can say. He can't say anything else, So yeah, and I was thinking, like, oh, well, but Clara knows now that, Clara does know that, he has met her before, and I was like, wait, no, that was back before the paradox, so she doesn't remember any of that, with the journey to the center of the TARDIS, so she doesn't remember anymore. But that was interesting with when she went home and the kids had basically found pictures of her and her boyfriend, throughout time. That was interesting, and it makes you curious, like, why, how did they find that? Why were they looking for that? It makes you curious, but I like that. I like that they found him. And I like the boy being like, he's got to be an alien. Why? That chin. I like that. I always like they always make fun of the Doctor's chin. That's always funny. It's like, because we had Amy in that one mini-sode, kind of go over the Doctor's entire appearance. But the most recurring thing is when they all joke about how big his chin is. So that's funny. So yeah, and then at the end when she sees the picture of her in Victorian London, and she's just like, no, that can't be me. It's like, why not? So, that's you in Victorian London. She's like, no, I was in Victorian Yorkshire. And it's like, oh, so now it's revealed to the kids. So that'll be interesting if next episode, you know, they have to take her basically. Or she takes them, excuse me. She takes them on board the TARDIS. That would be interesting. I'd be curious to know how the Doctor will feel about that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wrote down for this episode. Great episode. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, I am very curious as to how next episode is going to play out with the kids now. And with Clara finding that picture of the other Clara from Victorian London. So, yeah, I'd say that's pretty much that. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Doctor Who reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.